So good evening, everyone. Today we'll be talking about a smart resume screening service. Okay. So we are basically going to focus again, considering the fact that this topic is not a very theory intensive. Uh, we'll mostly look at how we are building the architecture around it. Okay, and we'll walk through some of the code, and I would like you also to kind of pull code from this kind of repo and also do it because I don't see there's too much of theory there. Okay. So what we'll do is um, as the first step, give me a second. I'll share the repo and we'll walk through along with the repo. Yeah. I just put it on the chat. Okay. You all of you can open this repo. Okay. So I'll anyhow share my screen and show it. So all of you can see my screen, right? So this is the AI resume analyzer, which we have, which I would like to walk through today. So in this one, basically the objective is to build a full stack web application that uses AI to analyze resumes and provide comprehensive insights. Okay. It is built using Streamlit frontend. Backend is Fast API, LangChain, and Gemini, Google Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay. So what we'll do is I'll show you the architecture. Okay. So we'll open it in Eraser. So here what we're trying to do basically is, okay, so we have a resume, okay, and so we are building a smart resume screener service. So we have a resume and we want to be able to pass that resume through AI, okay, and AI should be able to give us insights regarding the resume, okay. So typically, again, if you were to manually look at a resume and analyze the resume, it can be very, tedious to look at many resumes, correct? Now, in this particular application, what we are trying to do is to build a solution which will accept a resume in the UI, pass it through an AI model, basically Gemini API, and then give us the insights. Okay. So in this particular code base, what we are trying to do is we have, again, in terms of the architecture. Okay. So in terms of front end, what are we doing? We are trying to use Streamlit. Okay. So Streamlit is basically the Java based, Python based library for developing front-end applications. And in the backend, we are using, again, we are using Fast API. Okay. So Fast API is one of the several API frameworks that's used to kind of build the backend in this. You can use, there are several others like Flask and other API frameworks you can use, but Fast API is mostly used nowadays. Okay. So there's no extra space here. And in addition to that, in this repo, what we are trying to do is we are using the LangChain framework. Okay. So this is typically the tech stack what we are trying to use. Okay. So again, there's not really a lot of theory. Whatever it is, I'll walk through alongside what we're doing right now. And I would like all of you to also kind of clone the repo and do it. Okay. So we'll walk through the code also. And I would like you to clone it also and launch the Streamlit application in your local machine. Okay. So can all of you tell me if you have Python installed in your local machine? Can you just put on chat, please? So do you people have Python installed in your local? Do you have VS Code? Can you just put on chat? Yeah. Does the audience have access to Python or VS Code? So typically, if you can see my screen, right? So you should be able to see, I mean, this is VS Code in which you have Python. Uh, so you don't have, Rupa, you don't have VS Code or you don't have Python?
Python.
Okay, you don't have Python. No problem. You can install Python. Okay. So just follow instructions, open ChatGPT and try to install Python because once you have it, it becomes easy. Okay. You're in Windows, I suppose. Just as how to install Python.
I'm
Are you
using Mac.
So you can directly in VS Code open the terminal and you can download this from there, and you should be able to see Python hyphen version. Okay. So we'll come to that. So if you want, I mean, I think I can give some time later so that you can install Python. Okay. But before that, what I'll do is I'll go through the architecture. I'll go through the details of the code so that you can see and run it towards the end of the session. Okay. So here the API we're using is Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay. So the API we're using is Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay. Um, and the other things that we are again in terms of other technologies, I think we can look at it as we get along. Okay. So but Python anyhow is required that I already mentioned. So this readme.md, whatever is there in this, it has the detailed instructions in terms of how it's used. So now here, if I look at it, right, what I'll do is to help you understand how to do it better. I'll show you, okay, so that you also can do it alongside. Okay. So again, today is more of a hands-on session because there's not a lot of theory. So I opened the VS Code and click on open folder. And inside open folder, I click on some desktop folder and I create a new folder called Data Valley session, right? And I open that, select folder. Okay. So can all of you also try doing this? So go to the new terminal and just do it till here. This doesn't require Python. You can do this. Open VS Code, just go to File, Open Folder, and then select a folder from your desktop. Okay, and then in Open Terminal, and you should be able to see this. Just try this in 2 minutes. So can you do you people have VS Code? You can do this till here. Okay, if you already have, then great. But if you don't have, then you can just look at the steps and maybe I think you'll get a recording or something. Okay. So now that we have a repo, okay, the repo which I shared, what you have to do is go to code, copy, and go to VS Code, say git clone and paste. Okay. So here what's happening? We are able to clone all the code from the remote repo into the local. You can see on the left side, the code has come, correct? Now, once the code has come, you can see that there's backend, front end, and all this stuff, correct? So front end is basically the Streamlit code. Backend is basically the main code, which is calling the LLM and all that. So you can follow the instructions in the readme.md. Okay, so PDF resume upload is uploads resume in PDF format. Okay, uses Gemini 2.4 for intelligent extraction and analysis. It's structured data extraction, which basically takes out the PII, personal information, professional summary, work experience, education details, skills, certifications. Okay. Now this is the architecture. Backend consists of main.py, requirements, and .env template. Frontend consists of app.py, just Streamlit. Okay. Now that we downloaded it, let us navigate into the backend directory. Okay, CD backend. So I think it's not there over there. So we need to move into that folder, CD resume underscore screening. Okay. Now, once we are here, we do CD backend. Okay. Now, before we go ahead and create this pip install, we have to create a virtual environment. Okay. So Python -m -v So this will create a virtual environment. Okay. So what I'm showing is step by step in terms of how you can clone this project and run it in your local. I will also walk through the code and I will also show you how this whole application is spun up. Okay. In the local. Okay. And alongside, I'll explain the concepts involved in the various uh, endpoints and the front-end code and all that. So now that you see Python -m -venv, just create a virtual environment. You can see on the left side here, the virtual environment would have been created. Where is it? Okay, it looks like it's created inside backend. Okay, so you can see it's created over here inside backend. Okay, so if you say dir, you can see the virtual environment created here. Now let's enter into the virtual environment. How do you enter into it? So you say dot slash VNV slash activate slash script slash activate. Okay. So one second, I think this is not recognizing. So dot slash, sorry, VNV. Let me just clear. Okay, VNV slash scripts slash activate. Okay, so now it is activated the virtual environment. You can see it here. We are in the virtual environment. Now let's run some of the other commands. Pip install minus hyphen r requirements.txt. So whatever there in the requirements.txt file here, they will all be executed. Okay, you can see these are all the requirements which are there in the requirements.txt. They will all get executed. So you can also run it, it will execute in your system too. So why is this required? This is required because they support the various libraries. Correct?
Yeah.
So past API is there, Ubicon, Python, PyPDF. Okay, it's not Python, Python multipart. PyPDF for extracting the PDF data, LangChain for the LLM application, Pydantic is for data validation, and so on. So let's wait for the installation to happen. Is anyone running this along with me? That's fine. You can always do it later on, but still just asking. Okay, so this one might take some time because it is running or installing all the packages. So what we'll do is in here we look at how the architecture is structured. Okay. So typically we are looking at the fast API, which is exposing an endpoint. Okay. And if you look at the code and I open the backend, okay, the main.py. Okay. So let's look at main.py. So main.py is the main file in the backend, and this contains the API related details of fast API. Okay. So here, if you see, there are some Pydantic models. Okay, Pydantic basically is used for ensuring the structure of the data, right? The data structure. Uh, so then you are having a function called extract text from PDF. Okay, analyze resume with Gemini. Okay, and you have a prompt here. Okay, you're creating a prompt template, and then you're passing all this data to the LLM. Now here you can see that there are some endpoints in Fast API. Okay, so app/get is the one endpoint, it's the root endpoint. Okay. You have an endpoint called health, which is for health checkup. You have one endpoint for analyze, which does the analysis of the uploaded PDF. Okay. And then what are the other endpoints here? That's it. Okay. So you have three endpoints here, root, health, and analyze. Health is, of course, just for returning health. So to check if the API is working or not. Okay. Root is again just for metadata in terms of what all endpoints are there. Okay. So now what we are doing is slash analyze is the main endpoint that we need. Okay. So what it does is, okay, now if you see in the background, the installation has happened. Okay. So in the virtual environment, all the installations have been completed successfully. Now let's look at the documentation to see what else do we need to do. So we need to copy the environment template. So let's do that. So CP is not recognized because it is CMD. So what we'll do is we'll open it in a PowerShell. Or otherwise, you can just say instead of CP, you can actually type it. So there is this .env.template. Is there a file .env.template? So is there a .env.template file in this? It's not mentioned here, I think. Okay, so it's basically creating a .env file, nothing more than that. Okay, so what we'll do is in backend, I'll create a new file called .env. So this is basically for the secrets. And this one basically consists of Google API key. Okay, so I'm going to place that over here. And this is the actual Gemini key that you need to place over there, correct? So we need the Gemini API key. Let me just stop sharing and I'll get it for you. Give me a second. I'll just get the Gemini key from the other project. Okay. Okay. So I managed to get the Gemini API key. Okay, I'll share the screen again. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now, right? So I put in the Gemini API key. So all of you can also get your Gemini API key by going to Google Android Studio. Okay. Oh, sorry, Google AI Studio. Okay, go to Google AI Studio, get a Gemini API key, and you can follow the steps. Okay. So in the interest of time, I want to go through all this. Yesterday we talked about how to do this. So you can click on get API key and get your API keys. Okay. So now that I have my API key over here, okay, in the .env file. Okay, I have my API file, API key in the .env file. Now I'm going to follow the next step, which is running the main backend. Okay, so I can directly run uvcon main report, copy this, paste, and run it. So let's see if it works. uvcon again is used just like PIP. Just like NPM you have in Node, uvcon is used in Python. So it's trying to spin up the backend now. Okay. So it's saying application startup complete. So startup complete is saying it's already up and running. You can see that the localhost is running on 8,000, port 8,000 over here. Okay. So all of you are with me. Can you hear me? All of you? Can you just confirm? Can you just confirm, please? You can hear me and see my screen? Yeah. DATAVALLEY team, can you confirm? Yeah, you can, right? Okay. So next step, what we're trying to do is the API will be available at HTTP localhost 8,000. Okay. Now, if you want to see the docs, typically, uh, can you see this? You can see the docs. That's cool. So these are all the endpoints that we have made available, right? Root, metrics, chat, and all. Again, this is, I think, the other local host, but you get the data in this format. Okay. Now, I think it might be open in the other. 1 second. 1 second. Okay. So now that we have this ready, the backend is up and running. Okay. Now let's go to the front end folder. Okay. So we'll spin up a new PowerShell. Okay. And I'll say ls. Okay. CD resume screening. Then I'll say CD front end. Okay. And I'll again do the uh, Python -m virtual environment so that it creates the virtual environment for that. And then I will do install the requirements.txt over here in the front end. So typically in the front end folder, if you see, it has this only streamlit and request, only two of them, not too many, right? So if you saw earlier, the backend had a lot of requirements, right? Because it's very intensive, right? You are making calls to the API and all that. So front end is pretty simple. You just have only two of them, so it will be done fast. So let's just run this python bnb slash scripts slash active. Okay, now we're in virtual environment. Now let's run this command pip install -r -r, and it's going to install the requirements, whatever are there, streamlit and request. So there are just two of them that will be done fast.